What makes systems so special is that they have a compounding effect. You get a little benefit here, you save a little bit of time there, you reduce some waste here, you improve some efficiency there. All of those little wins stack up. It has a compounding effect. And just like Einstein said, the eighth wonder of the world is the law of compounding. System wins, adding these up, compounding over time. That's where the magic happens. And the reality is, most small business owners struggle with consistency. They don't take their best wins and then make them repeatable. Business is about finding what works and making it repeatable. Business owners are great at getting it up and running, doing it for the first time, doing it themselves, but they struggle to make it recur. But that's where all the money is. So I just cover some of that because I just want to make it crystal clear how important it is to get this right. I'll just lean on a systemologist a couple of times as I go through this. Today, I've got James Brown. He's one of our program facilitators, and James has worked with hundreds of companies rolling out systemology and working very closely with systems champions. So I'd just love to see, James, I'll just throw to you if you can kind of share us some of the insights that you see as you're working with business owners.
For sure, Dave. Hey, everyone. Good to see you. Love to see some familiar friends and some old faces in the room. Hey, Eric. Good to see you there as well. Um, I'm actually, Dave, I'm going to give you a stat, actually, that links back to one of the things that you were just talking about. There was a big survey done by LinkedIn back in 21, and 93% of the respondents, who are all employees, said they would stay at a company longer if the business simply invested in helping them learn. 93% said they'll stay longer. So it's there's that push and pull of systems, sometimes coming from the employees, sometimes coming from the business owner. So if you think that you might get resistance from the team, you might be mistaken. But as Dave mentioned, look, I've worked with a lot of business owners and systems champions, and I've probably got a bit of a unique perspective because I get to see them go through this stage where, they've gone through this journey of absolutely no systems, or potentially thinking they've got systems but really having none, to finding their feet and getting their training wheels off, and really starting to find their groove, and even making their own system for systemizing that sort of gels to their business, to the point that they get their critical client flows done and reach minimum viable systems, and then eventually evolve into this system centric business. And so seeing that journey, it's I think it's a bit of a beautiful journey, but I get some very proud dad moments, right, as I get to see these businesses sort of flourish, right. The other side of the spectrum, though, is I get to see lots of businesses fail. I get to see a lot of people um, pretty pretty much quit at doing this. Okay, so I just wanted to focus, like, why do people quit when they really start to try systemizing? And like all of these businesses, I just want you to make sure you understand. All of these businesses were just like you and I. They saw the value of systemizing. They're like jumping into a program, really want to get done, firing on all cylinders, fully pumped and raring to go. But there's just a few things that were holding them back. And if I was to try and focus on just one umbrella, it's probably that people didn't know what good looked like. They didn't know what that end result might be like for their business as an overall. And if I was to break that down a bit, it's probably that they lacked a bit of maybe stamina, in the way that they thought that systemizing was just something they could just check off on their way to, going somewhere else in business. Maybe I will quickly patch up this systems topic and then we'll just implement that CRM that we've been talking about. That they weren't necessarily aware that there will actually be, when done well, very much a state change in your business. It will go from this unsystemized thing to this systemized thing. And it's not just the assets that you create in terms of the processes, but it's, the people will change as well. And there's a cultural shift. That's one thing. But the other one is that who here knows what the word abdicate means? Okay, it's not often used in business. There is delegate, and then there is abdicate. Abdicate is when you can abdicate a throne, for example. It's when you just release. And quite often people will, the business owners will dump the project of systemizing onto a systems champion. The business owner doesn't check in. They don't give guidance. They don't drive the importance, not just for the systems champion, but for the wider business to help understand the context. The business owner checks out of the process, and that's where things can really fail. Um, the other thing that can really happen when why businesses often quit is they probably just weren't prepared to invest. And look, Dave's mentioned a whole bunch of really good dollars in the bank type of reasons why systemizing is worth it for you. Um, but you are going to need to invest primarily your time and your systems champion time. And yes, there's training and support and other resources that you're going to need. But if you're expecting to just nickel and dime your way to success, that is not a very good formula for you. Okay. So you need to appreciate that the payoff is not going to be days and weeks. It's going to be more like months and years, but it will happen. And as Dave's talked about, it will compound over time. Um, Another factor in why people end up quitting is when they get resistance from the team. So curious, who is actually concerned about getting pushback from the team? Is this something that's an issue for people? Because a lot of businesses I speak with, that's one of the things that they sort of put up and say, well, I don't know how they're going to take this. Um, Look, I've seen very much both ends of the spectrum. I've seen some amazing situations where the team, I talked about push versus pull, the team pull for it. They really want systems and processes because they see the opportunities for themselves in terms of their work life balance and their professional career into the future as well. But there have been other ends of the spectrum where I actually had a meeting with a client yesterday. We had this what we call a team meeting, where we do a bit of an all hands on deck meeting, and we sort of help roll out to the broader business that, hey, we're starting to systemize. This is the project we're working on, and this is how we're going to sort of evolve things over time. Within a day of that, someone started being really quite toxic throughout that afternoon, and then the next day they basically came and resigned to the boss. And it's just because they'd start to see things bubble up over time that, hey, we're having to be accountable and having to do things that we've been asked and little things like that. And when I spoke to the business owner, they were initially a bit, scared of this idea, but they were relieved, so relieved that this person self-deselected, that they didn't have to have really much discomfort involved in the whole process. And then when the penny dropped that they'd already systemized what this person does for a living, they could just feel like quite free to let this person go on to other ventures, and they could replace it with someone who really wanted to be a better fit for that business. So it's important to remember, if you're feeling resistance often occurs when you're trying to get somewhere. Okay. But the final reason why I think I see people quitting is choosing the wrong systems champion. Okay. And it's not about the person, it can also be about the scenario, the situation of that systems champion within the business. I had this business owner, well, it was actually a co-owner, sort of a leader within the business, and they decided that they would be the systems champion, one of the programs that we're running. And I sort of pushed back and said, hey, come on, there's better people for it. You've got to find someone else within your business. And he's like, no, I really want to be hands-on. I really want to get a feel for how this will work for us and how it will work for the business. And look, I have a high degree of respect for that. I mean, I like getting my hands dirty and getting to the nitty-gritty as well. But sure enough, 5 months into a 6-month program, they'd made 3 processes. And, when you should be at least 10 or 15 around that time with that particular journey. So they finally saw the light. They went and hired a systems champion. Within 6 months, they had over 100 processes and have reached minimum viable systems, from 3 processes to well over 100, just by getting the right person with the right situation. So getting these things right will be the thing that will avoid you ending up feeling like you need to quit. But on that note, if you don't get these things right, and look, Dave has said things compound, and even if you make some mistakes along the way, that it will all work out in the wash. But you can really undo this motivation towards systemizing if you get some of these things wrong. So if you don't set your systems champion up well, or you don't choose the right person, you might have a great systems champion as a real asset to the business, but if you don't create a scenario where they've got the time to do it, you can lead them to feel quite disempowered and feeling stuck, and even getting friction from a team and pushback from them if you don't create the right circumstances. And it can. Has anyone seen a really bad software rollout where the software gets rolled out? And basically people push back and say, well, the software is broken, it doesn't really do what we wanted it to. And when you try and iterate and correct these things over time, that you never really get the same success as you would as if you really just got it right the first time you dived in. So I want you to feel like this project of systemizing to be a bit like that. When you're working with people, you really need to get them on board with understanding that this is going to be a win for them and to help you avoid the feeling the need to quit. So this is really the right thing you want to get done right the first time.
I hope you enjoyed that clip. Just a heads up, it was a snippet taken from the Business Systems Accelerator program, which is the world's first training for systems champions to help you build a systems-driven organization. If you'd like to find out more about the program, head over to systemology.com/BSA, and I'll see you in the next video.